And that's the bottom line, because Stone Cold said so.
Welcome back to the Bottom Line Wrestling Cast, the career of Stone Cold Steve Austin. And this week is episode 54, Enter the Game. And we are covering July through August of 1999. I'm Mike Prue along with JV. JV, what's going on this week?
Nothing much, man. So Triple H is finally
Stepping up.
making his progression up the ranks, where he's pretty much going to stay forever.
Yes. That's why we say enter the game. From this point on, he is the game.
Yeah, this game never ends.
Yeah, it's a never-ending game. Usually, I didn't know what to come up with a name for this. I was like, enter the game, begin the game, time to play the game. But I was like, I can't go with time to play the game because he's not using that music yet. Then I obviously thought of you because you're a gamer. I was like, what would be the best thing to go with? I didn't ask you. I figured you'd say, yeah, who gives a fuck? But
Yeah, or like something with the game.
yeah. So, enter the game is cool? Not cool or good enough?
Oh, no, you're asking me? Yeah,
Yeah.
no, that's good.
All right. So,
I mean, nothing will beat the Vegas saga if that's what you're trying to...
yeah,
Match
that
it
was
up
the
to,
second
yeah.
episode. Damn. You beat the second episode. Underrated episode, too. Go back and listen to episode 2, the Vegas Saga. Now we got Enter the Game. And that's so funny that you bring it up because it is so true that the game hasn't ended.
Yeah, it's still going. This is the game that never ends. He's at the top forever, my friends.
Some people started playing it, not knowing when, and then they'll continue playing it because forever it's never going to end. It's on NXT right now. And then it'll be on WWE after that. Okay. Some people might not know what that reference is, though. But that is Lamb Chops Play Along, where the kids come and sing along to the fun songs that never, ever end. Okay.
YouTube it, watch it, and hate me later.
Yes. Damn. We already lost listeners. Okay. But anyway, here we are back here on the Bottom Line Wrestling Cast. And it's funny that I brought that up because I thought you were going to bring up Rob Gronkowski's shitty announcement today that teased us for
fuck that guy
a moment. And then, right at the time where we're like, all right, we need him back. We need him to, obviously he's not in the shape he is as a tight end because he's doing his, little thin diet, whatever the fuck it is.
Keto or whatever the fuck it is.
And he just wants to be a potty guy now. So,
yeah, the most disappointing was it was a fucking, beach party or something.
Yeah.
He announced.
Gronk beach party.
Not even, something football, not even something cool. Something total fucking tool bag of fucking beach party. I thought maybe he was going to promote, weed, CBD oils, because I know he's all into that shit. I'm like, maybe he's got, his business venture going on. Nope.
Just going to have a party the day before the Super Bowl.
Yeah. A fucking beach party. So lame.
And he sold it as, nobody's been to as many Super Bowls as me, which is bullshit. But I've been to so many Super Bowl parties that
I know
bullshit.
How
to make the party.
Yeah.
And I'll be
Tom
there
Brady's
in
been
Miami.
to more than you, idiot.
So that was a fucking tease, and that was kind of a shitty thing that happened.
Yeah, he's on my shit list now for that. Douchebag.
Yeah.
He knew exactly what he was doing. He had all the fucking people thinking, Gronk, he's got all this attention. Is he going to go back to football? So once he said he was going to have an announcement, more eyes were on it, just because everyone kind of hoping for him to come back and play football.
Yeah, and I don't know if it was like that.
Shit.
I don't know if it was like that throughout the country, but definitely in New England, we've been saying it since the summer. Oh, he's coming back. He'll come back when it's time. He'll get some time off, and then he'll come back. We're just fucking saps, I guess. and don't, maybe that's the wrestling in us. I don't know. I can't speak for all New England, but I know it was the wrestling in me that's like, yeah, he's not retired. He's coming back.
No, that's everybody in New
like
England.
HBK.
Yeah.
You're not retired. All right. So, yeah, that's going on in our area. If you guys are listening for the first time, JV and I are from New England in the United States. I know we have a lot of international listeners. So, yeah, Rob Gronkowski, you disappointed us today. But that's all right. Now we're moving on to Stone Cold Steve Austin. And like we said with the name of the episode, it's more about the game, Triple H.
Yeah, it is.
But it's related to the Stone Cold story, so that's why we're covering it here on the Bottom Line Wrestling Cast. But before we get into it, I do want to point out that we have the YouTube channel, so please subscribe to the YouTube channel at Bottom Line Wrestling Cast. We have all the episodes available, chronological episodes, and the watch-alongs will come soon as we can put them out there. So you got the full story out there up to this point here. So take a listen at YouTube if you're just joining in for the first time and you'd rather listening on YouTube. And also follow us on Twitter. We're at the Bottom Line Cast. And JV is at John Van Damage. And I'm at MPRU83. So follow us there. And also want to point out that JV and I also do the Extreme ECW live cast. And we have a really cool episode coming out this week. It's ECW about to be like ECW. It feels like this is like the best episode that I think that we've watched along with, talked about. You got so many names from ECW in this episode. You got the Public Enemy, Sandman, Sabu, Taz, Terry Funk in a steel cage match. So a lot of good stuff there. And that's available on the BTT Patreon feed at Booking the Territory, patreon.com/Booking the Territory. So subscribe there. We're on the $5 tier. It's definitely worth checking out, at least for a month, to see what you like. And if you like what's available, then stick with it. So try it out. And let's get now into this week's episode. Last week, though, we just got to recap real quick here. On episode 53 was the end of an era. And this was all about the first blood match, the end of an era match at Fully Loaded 99. Stone Cold Steve Austin is up against The Undertaker. And the stipulation is, if Austin wins the match, then Vince McMahon can no longer be on television anymore. And Austin won the match. So Vince McMahon is going to be out of the picture from this point forward. No longer allowed to be on television or get involved in Stone Cold Steve Austin's affairs. Or at some points, they even say the WWF affairs, which they don't even know what the hell they're talking about. But that's the case there. So Austin wins, and now we're going to continue from that point and see what happens. And guess what? Vince McMahon's going to be right away back in the scene.
Yep.
So that brings us now to Raw 322 from July 26, 1999, live in Cleveland, Ohio. And there you have it. Vince McMahon arrives right away in the limo, and it's not the end of an era. So we faked you out last week. It's not totally over just yet. Yeah. So Austin arrives moments later, just a few minutes later. They actually have some matches before the big segment. So I think they're trying to change pace on Raw at this point, where they don't want to have the big promos right at the start. So they have a couple of matches, and they build up to the promo within like the 15 to 20 minute point of the show. So that's what they do here this time. And McMahon comes out to the ring at 22 minutes and 56 seconds, and he is going to give his farewell address. So let's listen to what Vince McMahon has to say here in his farewell. Take a listen. We'll be right back.
I come before you tonight not to break a promise. I come before you tonight not to breach a contract. I come before you tonight to honor both a promise and a contract. Because let's face it, I've never ever lied to any one of you. I've never lied to anyone.
He's an honest man.
Please.
I've always kept my promises. I've always fulfilled my obligations. And only once have I not made good on my guarantees. And let's face it, last night, for the first time in my life, I failed.
Oh. Wait. Hey.
I failed when Stone Cold defeated The Undertaker.
Takes a big man to say that.
But those of you who watched the pay-per-view in its final moments, Vince McMahon was down on the canvas, down amongst the beer, the sweat, the blood and the grime, agonizing in pain, after suffering not one, but 2 devastating stunners.
It was horrible.
Oh, hell yeah.
What?
And I just know with that final moment that that's not the way that you would want to remember Vince McMahon.
Don't leave Vince.
So therefore tonight, I have taken the liberty to come before you to say a more formal farewell.
Oh, this is touching, JR.
You want a tissue? There's something stuck on my foot.
Please. He's trying to compose himself. Can't believe these people in Cleveland are this rude.
Wants everybody
This man is,
to forgive him.
he's devastated. Look at him.
So tonight, this is the way that I want you to remember Vince McMahon, the way that I look. Tonight, I want you to remember me for who I am, a handsome, affluent entrepreneur who left his indelible mark on each and every one of you. I thank you very much.
We're going to miss you, Vince.
Yeah. Guy that fired me twice.
All right, so Vince comes out all humbled. He comes out with no music. Doesn't have his No Chance in Hell music. He's accepting that he's leaving, so he's not going to have this big pomp and circumstance with his music. So he comes out to the ring. Ben Stiller's in the front row. They're still promoting. What are you going to say, JV?
They're still promoting that terrible movie Mystery Men. I wonder if Ben Stiller is like a wrestling fan. It seems like he would be, just based on like his, I don't know, I guess his personality that I see on TV and his sense of humor. But do you think he's just being paid to be there? Or does he have like any sort of interest in wrestling at that time?
I feel like he probably doesn't give a shit, but could buy into it quickly and be like, all right, I can get into this and play along with this.
Yeah, because he's a pro's pro.
Right.
He's a professional, so.
Yeah. So Ben Stiller's there in the front row, and he's like shaking his head at Vince. He knows Vince is the bad guy, and he's giving him thumbs down, like, boo. So he's doing like all the classic shit. He probably maybe watched wrestling like a little bit when he was a kid and knows the basics of it. He's like, oh yeah, let me continue doing the thumbs down and the boo. That's what we used to do to Jerry Lawler in Memphis or something, wherever the fuck he was from. I don't know where he actually watched wrestling.
I think he's from like New York area.
Yeah,
I mean, his dad was famous. So
That's true. He's from the New York area.
I'm sure it was like Hollywood or New York or something. Definitely not the Midwest or South. I would not think.
My point was, whoever the heel was, he learned to boo the heel.
Yeah.
So Vince comes out. He said he's gonna honor his promise. I got this contract. I've never lied to anyone. I always keep my promises.
I hate how he says that all the time. I've only not kept my promise once, right? Doesn't he say something like that?
Yep. I've always fulfilled my obligations, and I've only once did not make good on my guarantees. Yeah. And that's a good thing to do because that shows how heelish he is. It's just, when people know you're an asshole, you say, "Oh no, I've always been a good guy."
Yeah.
This is the last time, for the first time in my life, I failed. I failed when Stone Cold defeated The Undertaker. And there's a point to that because he always gives his guarantee. I guaranteed that Undertaker was going to beat Stone Cold. He said that last week when we covered that. I guarantee. Jerry Law's always like, that's that word again, guarantees. So he did guarantee, and he was wrong this time. So that's why he said, no, this is the first time I failed on my guarantee. So he's agonizing on this, and said, I knew that it was not the way you would want to remember Vince McMahon after taking 2 stunners. So he got his ass kicked, and then he's like, I know this is not the way you wanted to remember me. Which is great because that even builds more heat on Vince McMahon. Like, No, that's what we wanted, asshole.
That's exactly. We probably wanted a third one.
Yeah. So Vince says he wants to give a formal farewell from that point. I want you to remember me for the handsome man, the entrepreneur that I am, who left an indelible mark on each and every one of you. I thank you very much. And when I heard that, I was like, yeah, it's true. You did leave that mark on us. Because we would not be having this podcast talking about wrestling if it wasn't for what he did for the industry.
Yeah, I mean, he's iconic.
Yeah, because
he is wrestling. You think wrestling. Vince McMahon is wrestling.
Right. So despite what anyone would think today, how out of touch you might be or anything, most people that are watching wrestling right now are only watching it. Most people that are performing wrestling are only performing because it got widespread because of WWE. Yeah, because of Vince. Yeah. WWF. So,
and even if you love the guy, hate the guy, you have to accept that.
Right.
Because that's what it is. That's what he did. And, you got to, respect the hustle, man. Yeah. No one hustled like Vince.
He made it widespread.
No one was ambitious like Vince. Yeah, he was very ambitious.
Right. He made it widespread for everybody to see.
Yep, it's global.
Right.
He made it global.
None of us up here, so for instance, if we're talking about regions, none of us up here in the Northeast would have ever been exposed to anything that happened in Mid-South Wrestling or world-class wrestling if it wasn't for him taking over everything and making it available for us to watch. So while many people might be like retro wrestling lovers and, oh, well, that stuff was really good. Well, you probably wouldn't have never have seen it in your whole life if it wasn't for Vince McMahon. Unless you lived there. And that was it. And if you lived there, you probably would never see it again if he didn't come around. Because the shit would have been lost. So, that's the bottom line. Because the Bottom Line Cast said so.
Yeah, or at the very least it wouldn't be housed. You'd really have to dig for it through like Daily Motion or YouTube and to find that stuff. And now, I mean, there's a fucking... It's the hub. WWE Network's the hub for wrestling history.
Exactly. So he did leave that mark, and he was right with that. So, at perfect timing, though, at that point when Vince McMahon's saying, I left the mark on everybody, Austin has to come out and say, yeah, fuck that. So Austin comes out, he heads down to the ring, and he's going to have a response to Vince McMahon's farewell. So listen to what Stone Cold has to say to Vince McMahon at that point.
Off his own show!
I'm glad you came out here.
What?
Because I'd like to get something off my chest.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
Austin,
Oh, please.
Austin, and I know that on the surface, on the outside, it would appear as though we're worlds apart. but down deep on the inside, way down inside, Austin, you know damn well we're just alike.
What does he mean by that?
I don't know. What does he mean?
The only difference is I always have been and I always will consider myself the better man.
Oh, yeah. Let me say, oh, hell yeah.
I don't mean it that way. Just to prove it. Just to prove it.
Oh, my gosh.
Put her there.
Look at this. Mr. McMahon is offering his hand to the rattlesnake. He'll bite him.
Could get ugly.
Put her there.
Oh. Uh-oh.
You want me to put her there? You just want me to come out here after 2 years and shake your little hand just like that? I got a problem with that. If you want me to break Vince's arm and shove it straight up his ass, give me a hell yeah.
No! How disrespectful.
Make no mistake about it, Vince. Just like that, I could dump you right on that stack of dimes you call a neck, and that's all I got to say about that.
Look at even Ben Stiller said, oh, hell yeah.
You come out here and say you're the better man because you got so damn much money, because you got all this power. Well, I'm here to tell you that you can take your money and your power along with that hand and shove them all straight back up your ass.
That's an interesting visual.
It's awful.
As much as you tried, Vince, to make my life a living hell, I gotta sit here and tell you face to face that the worse you made it for me, the more fun I had, because I'm living proof that a sorry son of a bitch like you will never beat a son of a bitch like me.
Oh, don't push him. Don't get him riled.
So before you step through those ropes and get your ass up that stage, before I decide to kick the crap out of you, Jim Ross, get your ass up here. I got something to tell you.
What?
I don't know what he wants.
Come on, son, I ain't got all day.
Jim Ross?
Yeah, just come on.
Oh, I hope Austin stuns him. Give him a stunner. Stunner.
I know the son bitch inspired you a couple of times. You probably feel the same way about him as I do, and I ain't much at singing, so I want you to sing a little song for Vince McMahon.
Sing a song? It's not Vince's birthday, was it?
I ain't gonna sing it.
No, hell yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, Stone Cold is suggesting that we sing goodbye to Mr. McMahon here tonight.
Oh, no, wait a minute. Not that song.
With a little, no, oh, hell yeah, goodbye. No.
Oh, no.
No, oh, hell yeah, goodbye.
Oh, no, this is awful.
Oh, hell yeah,
goodbye. 20,000 people here in Thunder Arena. See, look at, watch it, Vince. The final flip-off. Vince, I can't believe this. There's Vince McMahon. He invented all these people. He made everybody here, and now he's being forced out. He's the inventor of sports entertainment. Oh, ladies! There's your final act of defiance.
right, so obviously Vince McMahon is pissed at that point when Austin comes out. Vince is trying to do his farewell. This is my last time on TV. I've been on this TV for so long. This is my company. And here comes Austin again to ruin it again. But he says this to Austin. You know, I'm glad you came out here because I'd like to get something off my chest. Austin, you know, and I know that on the surface, we may be worlds apart. But deep down inside, Austin, you know damn well we're just alike. The only difference is I'm the better man.
Such a dick.
The McMahon then reaches to shake Austin's hand. Says, put it there. Then Austin just yanks the mic from him. Like, nah, not shaking your hand. Screw you. Give me the mic. You want me to put it there? You want me to come out here and after 2 years shake your little hand? I got a problem with that. If you want me to break Vince's arm and shove it up his ass, give me a hell yeah. He has to come.
So graphic.
Break his arm, shove it up his ass. Which is great, though, because Austin should respond that way. Now, all of a sudden, you know.
Yeah, no kidding. You put this dude through hell.
Right. You've been busting my balls for over 2.5 years.
Ruining his career.
Right. You're trying to shut me down, and then I'm supposed to feel sad and shake your hand because you got to go now? Well, fuck yourself.
Yeah, fuck off, buddy.
Then Austin continues from there. He says, just like that, I could dump you on that stack of dimes you call a neck. That's all I got to say about that. Which, I get the line. It's funny. But I look at Vince McMahon's neck. That's not no stack of dimes. That guy's built. He's got a strong neck.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's good with the Austin. His verbiage. The stack of dimes. I'll bust your neck. Says you come out here and you say you're the better man because you have all this damn money and you got all this power. Well, I'm here to tell you, you can take all your money and all your power, and with that hand, you can shove it straight back up your ass. So we get more gratuity from Austin. A lot of shoving up the ass and shove it down your throat. And Austin just trying to just fucking put Vince McMahon on the spot there and just send it home to him. Yeah, I'm not your pal, buddy. And then at this point, Austin is going to call Jim Ross into the ring. Which seemed weird because Stone Cold Steve Austin, from what we've covered so far, has never been allies with Jim Ross at all. We know the history now, looking back, that Jim Ross and Steve Austin are buddies and such from that point on. But up to this point, not really. There's been so many times where Austin said he's going to kick the shit out of Jim Ross, calls him an idiot. He's even stunned him a few times. But now he is bringing Jim Ross into the ring. So Austin brings him in. He brings up how Vince fired Jim Ross a couple times. And he's going to talk to Jim Ross. He whispers in his ear. It's like, all right, we're going to sing a song to Vince McMahon. And I knew what it was going to be right away. It's like, all right, yep.
Me too.
Song,
yeah, and I hadn't seen it in a long time.
Yeah. It's like, oh, yeah, that's what this is here. And what I didn't like, though, is that you could hear on the mic, Jim Ross says, oh, you want me to say this? Like, no, you shouldn't have said it on the mic so that the listening audience could pick it up. Jim Ross is like, oh, you want me to say, nah, oh, hell yeah, goodbye. And he's like, yeah. And then you get the fucking chant going after that. Nah, oh, hell yeah, goodbye. Which is fucking cool, but they gave it away. Give it away before
they did.
Before you made the chant. I don't know if that made Jim Ross look like a sap. Like, is that the way they wanted him to look? Like, oh yeah, you gotta make sure, and you look like a little sap doing that.
Yeah, she look like a little bitch.
Yeah, you gotta be a little bitch because you're afraid in the ring. Make sure you're doing the right thing. Maybe. But anyways, that's how they did it, and then you get the whole crowd doing it, which was cool. And from what I've heard, Vince has always loved that chant. Na, 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 na.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Like, that's one of his things. It's like, yeah, whenever we can use that, we're going to use that.
Oh, jeez.
That's how lame he is.
Yeah, that's very lame.
So you had that happen there, and then Austin pegs off Vince, and Vince walks off to the ramp. Vince gets to the top of the ramp, and he's gonna give his middle fingers, the Vince McMahon style middle fingers, where it's like perfectly formed, where
yeah.
I mean, it's
fucking
tough to
t-shirt
explain,
middle fingers.
but it's you got the middle finger up, but then you got all the other fingers like up to the knuckles, and then the thumbs are sticking out. That's the middle finger. Whereas for me, maybe I'm lazy with my middle finger, but I think this is a normal middle finger. You just fucking roll all your fingers together except the middle finger. You just got that middle finger up and everything else.
Yeah.
Like,
fucking emphasis
together.
on it.
Like, boom.
Yeah.
He's like flexing a muscle on his hand or something when he's.
Yeah.
And it's on audio, probably sounds stupid. Think about it. Do it both ways. Try to flex your middle finger and then just do the lazy way. You'll see the difference.
No, I like the thumb in.
Yeah, thumb
middle
in.
finger up.
Yeah. Not the fucking whatever.
I don't peg the fucking finger. Period.
I don't either. Although
I peg the finger.
I probably have maybe once, like some kind of car shit. Like the past couple of years. That's the only time I ever get that pissed off is driving. That's the only time everybody gets pissed off, I think, is driving.
I get pissed off at work.
No, I don't peg people off at work.
No.
But driving is the only way you can peg people off, though. Like,
yeah, or else you're fighting.
Yeah, exactly.
You have someone like just walk up to someone in the middle of a bar. Hey, man, fuck you, middle finger. It's asking for a fight.
Yeah. It's almost automatic when you're driving that. If someone beeps at you, you're like, fuck off. Boom, middle finger.
Yeah.
Boom, throw it up.
Shut the fuck up.
All right, anyway, so Austin celebrates. He has some beers. Jim Ross grabs a beer, too. I don't think he takes a sip of it, though. I was watching. I know he has it in his hand. I didn't notice if he took a sip or not. But Jim Ross, he was in his glory at that point. He was like a 20-year-old kid. He was like running around, and he was all happy to be with Austin. So that was probably one of his great moments. And I bet if he was asked about it, that would probably, if somebody were to bring that moment up, he'd probably recall that and be like, "Wow, that was one of my great moments, Steve Austin." Because I don't think there's many more. And then from there, just moments later, Howard Finkel, who is the stooge, the real stooge, not Briscoe, not Patterson, but the stooge who always has to tell somebody what's going on. So Howard Finkel goes to Vince at his limo, and he tries to thank Vince McMahon for everything that he's ever done for him. By the way, Howard Finkel is the first employee of the WWF, the first official employee, besides Linda and Vince, and he's the first person that actually got paid on payroll for that company.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
No kidding.
Yep. And I guess it makes sense that he'd be the guy to go up to him and say this. I thank you for everything. I love you. Thank you so much. And then Vince says, "Get the hell away from me."
Bitch.
So that was probably a cool spot for both of them. Like, yeah, I was the first guy to work for you, and you tell me, get the hell away from me. Vince gets in his limo, and he heads off. And then, as our show is called this week, it's Enter the Game. So now Triple H wants it to be known that he is the number one contender, because at Fully Loaded the night before, he got the number one contendership when he beat The Rock in a strap match. This promo is going to start at 45 minutes. And let's take a listen to what Triple H has to say.
Number one contender for the WWF title, Triple H, and right there, the ninth wonder of the world, China.
Well, there's no doubt that Triple H wants the WWF title. The opportunity comes at the 1999 SummerSlam, an out-of-body experience. Jesse the Body Ventura will officiate the WWF title match, but as Mick Jagger, who celebrates his birthday today, once said, you can't always get what you want. And Helmsley's going to have to do it against Stone Cold Steve Austin in the sold-out Target Center at SummerSlam.
Yeah, but you know what, JR? The second line to that is sometimes you get what you need.
That China belongs to that Blair Witch Project.
Austin! You come out here, you call JR in the ring, you get these idiots to sing your little song.
Uh-oh.
Well, I really don't give a crap. Because as of last night, it's no longer about you. And it's no longer about Vince. It's about one thing. It's about me.
Uh-oh. Rattlesnake looking on here.
Because Austin, man to man, I can beat you.
We'll find out at SummerSlam, that's for sure.
For the last 6 months, I have watched you like a hawk, Austin. I have seen your every move. You have not taken a breath. You have not blinked an eye without me seeing it. Austin, I know you like the back of my hand. I know your strengths. And I damn sure know each and every one of your weaknesses.
Yeah. Well, he exudes confidence, doesn't he, JR?
A lot of arrogance, a lot of attitude.
At SummerSlam, Austin, no matter what the hype says, it's not gonna be an out-of-body experience. To hell with Jesse the Body Ventura.
Uh-oh.
Special referee at SummerSlam.
Because he's not gonna be a factor. And as great as she is, the ninth wonder of the world, China, is not gonna be a factor.
Well, that'd be different. Ventura stands for law and order. I guarantee that.
Because Austin, it's gonna come down to you and me. It's gonna come down to one-on-one, face-to-face, man-to-man.
Yeah.
And Austin, I know you. You're like me, you eat, sleep, breathe this business. But Austin, while you might be a student of the game, at SummerSlam, I'm gonna show you, and I'm gonna show the world, I am the game.
Well, I'll tell you one thing, Helmsley has got tremendous confidence and obviously great skills.
All right, so Triple H comes out, and he wants to make it a point right away that, Austin, it's no longer about you. It's no longer about Vince. It's about me. And he even tells Austin, man to man, I can beat you. So as I said, Triple H is now the #1 contender, and that's why he's bringing this all up. You can see Austin watching on from the back during this promo. Triple H says that he's watched Austin like a hawk for months, and he knows his strengths, he knows his weakness, he knows every one of his weaknesses. And at SummerSlam, which he's earned that title match for at SummerSlam, it's not going to be an out-of-body experience. And the reason for that quote is because SummerSlam is being billed as the out-of-body experience because Jesse the Body Ventura is going to be the special guest referee, and he's the governor of Minnesota at this point, and the show is going to take place in Minnesota. So Jesse the Body is back, and he's going to be the referee, and Triple H wants to point out that you're not going to be a factor in this match at all, and neither is China, because I guess there's been a lot of talk of China always being involved in his matches, which she has, nonstop, always been involved, giving nut shots.
Yep.
Just nut shot after nut shot after nut shot.
It's annoying.
Yeah, it's the same thing every time. Why can't you just hit like some kind of wrestling spot?
Yeah, no kidding.
Hit like a DDT on somebody.
Yeah, like a fucking suplex or like a I don't know,
Right, they're trying to put her
fireman's
over.
carry.
They're trying to put her over as a wrestler that can go with the guys. So why is she gonna keep being a little bitch hitting guys in the nuts?
Yeah, why is she like she's some small chick?
Right. Like, oh, I know it hurts guys when you hit them in the balls, so that's what I'm gonna do. Like,
Yeah,
you could punch me in the face and knock me out, China. What the fuck?
yeah, I know, like, easily.
You gonna go for balls? Fucking go for their face. You can do it. I believe in you, China.
Yeah.
Go for
Coward.
Go for something other than balls. All right. So anyway, we continue from there. Triple H says, Austin, while you might be a student of the game at SummerSlam, I'm going to show you. I'm going to show everyone. I am the game. So it's not the first time he said this. He said it in the interview that we covered on the last episode, his sit-down interview. But now it's the first time he's saying it in the ring. And it's like they told him, like, oh, that was a good promo when you said that. So now we're going to use that as your new
All
gimmick.
the time. Yeah, all the time now.
So it's the game. But you know what? I've read so many things, and I almost don't believe it. It sounds like bullshit to me. Because this comes off as very organic for Triple H and his character deciding to use, you're not a student of the game, I am the game. It makes sense with, I've been screwed. I've been watching everybody for the past year or so. I'm the game. And he is this person that they're trying to push. But what's been said in so many places that I've read is that this game gimmick or title, nickname, was going to be used on Owen Hart.
I have heard that before, too.
And that doesn't make any fucking sense to me because they weren't pushing
doesn't.
him at all. They deep pushed him, if anything.
Yeah.
They've put him down. They put him back to a gimmick that he had back in 1989 where there was no point of using that. He was involved with Jeff Jarrett and Deborah. And then they say they have, we're going to use this gimmick, the game, on him. That sounds like bullshit to me.
Yeah, I have a hard time buying that. That was their original plan.
I don't know where that came from. I'll have to look more on resources. Or if anybody has solid information about that, like solid information, not just, Dave Meltzer said this or whoever said it. No, like, how does it make sense to what they were actually doing? Because if there's no talk about the game being used on Owen Hart prior to, I would say, prior to 1999, because 1999 was just a whole shit show for Owen Hart. So if they weren't talking about him being in a game prior to that, then it wasn't a thing. And it's almost like, because that's a thing, Triple H will never come out and say, no.
Yeah, right. Yeah, there's no fucking way in hell.
Because he's not going to talk about Owen Hart.
Yeah.
So I think it's a whole fucking bullshit thing.
Yeah, and I don't think he gives his gimmick away like that either.
Not that he gives. What do you mean? That Triple H
he
would
gives
ever
that
say
credit.
that? Yeah.
Yeah.
He would never do that either.
Yeah. That's his.
Right. Okay. Anyway, so there's that. And that's just my piece on it, and I'm just one guy in the internet. And on a podcast.
Just a guy on the internet trying to be another guy.
All right, so from there, we go now to Austin is hanging backstage after this promo. He's trying to soak in what Triple H has just said. You're the man. You've been watching me like a hawk. Okay, who the fuck are you? Whatever, bro.
Yeah, shut up, buddy.
Yeah, so Austin's backstage. He's drinking some coffee, which is cool. He's pacing himself, drinking some coffee first. And Triple H walks into Austin's locker room. Just moments after, we see Austin drinking some coffee. And then we see 3 minutes later, Triple H walks out. And then they say on commentary that Triple H destroyed some of Austin's property. So that was a big deal. And now Triple H is going to have a match with Ken Shamrock. And Ken Shamrock doesn't come out right away because he was injured by Steve Blackman, because Steve Blackman hit him with a car earlier in the night on this episode of Raw. And Triple H calls Shamrock a puss for not coming out. And then Shamrock comes out, and they wrestle for a little bit. Shamrock's in street clothes. His abdomen's all wrapped up. And after a few gut busters from Triple H to Shamrock, Shamrock starts bleeding from the mouth again, which has become a common thing for Shamrock. Always internally bleeding. And the ref calls the match to be stopped. Triple H gets the win. And then he continues to beat up Shamrock at that point.
I did like this spot with it just helped put Triple H over a little bit.
Yeah, it does. Right? Yeah.
It didn't make Ken Shamrock look too weak because you knew he was already hurt. And
right. Yeah, exactly.
And the fact that, Triple H is beating up to the point where he's internally bleeding again, just,
Yeah, so
it's good,
right,
good booking.
Right, it's been common that he's been bleeding, so yeah.
Yep.
Especially after a promo where Triple H is looking strong.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely good. And then we move on to a match. It's The Rock versus Billy Gunn in China. And before I even get into that, I do want to point out that this Raw from July 26th, the night after Fully Loaded, it has been said or been written that it was supposed to be Billy Gunn versus Stone Cold Steve Austin. And Stone Cold Steve Austin started to get a reputation at this time as not working with everybody. And he's trying to protect his gimmick. And he's also injured at this time. And it was supposed to be Stone Cold versus Billy Gunn. And Austin said, it doesn't do me any good to go up against Billy Gunn. It doesn't do Billy Gunn any good for me to beat him, because I'm not taking a loss to him. So,
yeah, I'm not taking a loss to Mr. Ass, dude.
Right. Meanwhile, just a couple weeks back, The Rock did take a loss to Billy Gunn.
Yep.
So they wanted Stone Cold to take some kind of loss to Billy Gunn, and he shut it down. And I think rightfully so. I don't think he's the star. He's the reason why at this point, just a week later, 2 weeks later, that WWF is going to go public. Austin led to that capability of then going public as a traded company.
Absolutely.
So
the money and exposure he helped bring in.
Right. So he should not be denigrated for, I didn't want to wrestle Mr. Ass Billy Gunn and put him over, or in even some kind of interference. He said, we have nothing going on together. There's no storyline with us. Why am I going to have just one match with him and lose to him? Or in the case of if it wasn't going to be some kind of screwy finish, why would I just beat him? He just won King of the Ring. So,
and similar to what we kind of said last week, where WWE is kind of short stars, where they're kind of overworking a lot of the guys, where they're getting overexposed, and as a crowd you can kind of lose interest seeing the same guys rotating at the top. So that's why you got a guy like Triple H that they're obviously pushing, and I think Billy Gunn was like a plan B for them. But it doesn't sound like, besides Austin, I don't think a lot of people felt Billy Gunn, had it to be, at the top.
Right, and with that,
they gave him King of the Ring. He's kind of been in limbo. Like I said, he's got a big win over The Rock, but then he's got some weird losses.
Right,
So.
And with that said, though, some people that I've read were saying some of the talk is that because The Rock was not happy with having to lose to Billy Gunn, that led Austin to saying, I'm not going to work with him. That maybe Billy Gunn's run wasn't supported by some of the stars, so that's why it fell flat.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like the locker room had his back as much as, say, they probably did for Triple H.
Right. So it looks obviously they jumped on Triple H's back, but who wouldn't? When you look at DX, who was the leader of DX after HBK?
Yeah, it was Triple H.
Triple H, not Billy Gunn. So why is Billy Gunn?
I'll always look as DX as more, even though I don't know, I've always looked as DX as more of Triple H's faction.
It is.
So
even more so than Shawn Michaels at sometimes.
That's what I'm saying. Like, overall in history, I would say if I had to pick a 1A for the faction, it's Triple H was always kind of like the leader.
Yeah, I agree. So anyway, that was happening. That was going on at that time. And also, like you said last week, we were talking about mid-carders and how they were looking for other people. And we brought up Jeff Jarrett, too. So Jeff Jarrett had those few spots with Steve Austin. And then Steve Austin also ultimately decided, nah, this isn't going to work with Jeff Jarrett either. Because he's not getting over. So why am I going to...
Right.
Why am I going to taint what I have going on to try to put him over if he's not getting over on everything else he's doing? So I guess some people would say Steve Austin was being selfish, but if you're in that spot, you need to stay in that spot, especially when you have The Rock creeping up and you have Triple H creeping up. Like, I'm not going to start wrestling Billy Gunn and Jeff Jarrett while The Rock and Triple H are having these main event matches. So I'll cut promos instead and stay over that way. And that's what he did. And that's why he's not wrestling in all these Raws leading up to all these pay-per-views, is because he's protecting his character and he's not just going to do shitty matches on Raw with guys that are mid-carders. And he's injured too. So that's another thing going on. But anyway, we get to this match here. It's the Raw. So instead of Billy Gunn versus Stone Cold, they have The Rock versus Billy Gunn in China. And Triple H goes on guest commentary. And Triple H says that he's going to be the WWF champion at SummerSlam. Triple H wants to prove to everybody that kept him down all this time, ever since the curtain call, since the King of the Ring, when Austin won it instead of him, that he's going to beat Austin. And he has like this big back and forth with JR throughout the whole match. So the match isn't even important. The Rock versus Billy Gunn in China. It sounds like it's not important anyway, but it's really not, because the commentary is all about Triple H being pissed off and JR is being like a total dick. He's being all ballsy because earlier in the night he was in the ring with Stone Cold Steve Austin. You know, he had a beer and he was in the ring and he got to sing na 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 na, hey hey hey, and he's feeling pretty confident. Talking back to Triple H. So Triple H eventually gets sick of him here. And at 1 hour and 32 minutes, so right at the end of the show, he knocks JR out. Bam! And then Austin runs out. So now it's like JR and Austin are all buddy-buddy now. So Austin's going to come to save JR, and Triple H and Austin go at it. And he runs down. And the funny thing that I noticed, I don't know if you noticed right away, but Austin runs through the ring to get to the commentary table, and while he runs through the ring, he sees Chyna and just tosses her to the ground, tosses her to the mat, like just like a hey, fuck you,
fuck you, bitch.
And then he just slides in and he starts brawling with Triple H. Meanwhile, in the ring, The Rock hits the rock bottom on Billy Gunn, sets up for the People's Elbow. Austin is about to choke Triple H with a cable, and that's when the show ends. But we got extra attitude on the network. So starting at 1 hour 33 minutes, we got a good amount of extra attitude here, and Triple H and Austin go fighting into the crowd. Austin gets whipped into the steps. Triple H fights back, drops Austin onto the barrier, drags him into the ring. Austin nails Triple H with the stunner at 1 hour 35 minutes. Austin goes to the ropes, he even drops an elbow. Then he gets his beers. And he climbs to the second rope, he starts to chug some beers. Chyna comes in from behind, and what does she do? She hits a nut shot on Austin.
Wow, wow, wow.
So Triple H begins to stomp Austin, and Triple H takes a sip of a beer, which is surprising because we're always told that he doesn't drink beer, or anything. So he takes a sip of the beer and punches Austin. But hold on to that sip for a second. Triple H holds Austin for Chyna to kick him in the nuts, but Austin kicks Chyna, pushes her off, and then mule kicks Triple H. Then Austin nails Chyna with the stunner, and then Triple H with the stunner. And once he hits Triple H with the stunner, what do you think happens to the beer?
I know what happens to the beer.
What happened?
He spits it out in Triple H fashion.
Yep, he spits it all out. So he took the sip and he just held it in there for, I don't know, like a minute or so. Half a minute. Then
yeah, he did held it for a little bit. Yeah.
So then Austin gets some more beers, and Hebner's hanging around. And I know Hebner's hanging around just so we can get a damn beer from Austin.
Yeah.
He's like, he looks like he's like, oh yeah, I'm just hanging around. Like, oh hi Austin. Like he's kind of like in the ring, like meandering around, like hoping that he'll be involved in this segment. It's like, oh, this is post Raw, right? I'm just gonna hang around. Maybe I'll be part of this party. You know, not even thinking like, oh, it's gonna be on Extra Attitude in 20 years on the network. He's just like hanging around, like, oh, I want to be part of this. So Austin fucking gives him a beer. Fuck Earl Hebner. Anyway, Austin sets up Triple H again for another stunner. So Triple H gets up again, and he hits Triple H with one more stunner as the show ends. So that was one of the cool extra attitude segments, especially because now we're at this point where Triple H is on the top as being a rival to Steve Austin. It's not like how it was a few months back, because a few months back there was a segment where Triple H was getting stunned by Austin, but I was like, yeah, you're nothing at this point. You know, you're upper mid card with The Rock. But now he's on the level of Austin, and we're getting this back and forth with them. So that was pretty cool to see there. Okay, so that was Raw 322 from July 26th, 1999. Then that brings us now to the next week, which is Raw 323 from August 2nd, 1999. This was taped on July 27th of 1999, and it was taped in Columbus, Ohio. And we're going to kick off with an Austin promo. This promo is not actually going to happen until an hour into the show. An hour into if you go on the network, you got to watch an hour. So it's probably like happening at like 9:20, on the show, or 10:20, whatever it was. But an hour and 20 minutes into the actual program. So Austin comes out here pretty late. And he's going to head out there with a new shirt. Got a new shirt alert finally. It's Austin 316 in small type. And then you get Venom written in large type. Then you get the rattlesnake skull. A new rattlesnake skull. And then on the back of the shirt, you have like a mini image of the rattlesnake. And then that's it. So it's kind of cheapo, but it's a new shirt nonetheless, and people will buy it because it's Austin. So that's his new shirt. But let's take a listen to what he has to say as he kicks off this promo.
I respect him a hell of a lot.
All of a sudden, I sit in the back, and all I can hear is Triple H sitting up in this commentary spot talking all the trash that he's got Stone Cold Steve Austin's number at SummerSlam. That's the biggest bunch of BS I ever heard in my life.
Well, that was last week.
Because you can sit at your little house and study all the little films you want to, because you say that you know me like the back of your hand. Son, let me tell you this. You can show up at SummerSlam with a PhD in your back pocket when it comes to Stone Cold Steve Austin. You can be the smartest son of a bitch in the world when you get in this ring, but the bottom line is, I'm going to whip your ass, and that's all I got to say about that.
Man, it's going to be a war at SummerSlam, no doubt about it. Uh-oh, what the hell's this?
What do you think it is?
Oh, come on. That's the Undertaker and the Big Show.
And they're coming out here. Say it, JR, say it.
Yep.
This is about to pick up.
Boy, it damn sure is right here. The 500-pound Big Show, along with the most evil human being to ever walk the face of the earth, the Undertaker.
If I were you, Stone Cold, I would exit stage left.
Who will ever forget the first blood match? We saw it fully loaded.
Look at him, he's not scared of him.
We all know you talk the talk. Now we're going to find out if you walk the walk. Because in 1 minute, if you don't give me my return title shot that I so duly deserve, we are gonna stomp, what do you say, a mud hole in your ass.
Yeah. Whoa, wait a minute. The Undertaker, the Big Show.
They didn't wait the minute,
This is an assault. This is an assault. An unprovoked attack by the Big Show and the Undertaker on the Rattlesnake.
Well, they warned him. They gave him his opportunity.
Austin's been pummeled by two monsters. The Rattlesnake is being stomped. Oh, no. Right in the ribs. Oh, not again.
That's 500 pounds crashing down into Austin's ribs.
The Undertaker and the Big Show. One more time. Right in the heart of the Rattlesnake by the Big Show. The Undertaker and the Big Show are attempting to destroy the Rattlesnake, and they may have done it.
Yeah, I think they have done it.
My God, Armageddon continues.
They said they'll take what they want, and they'll destroy what they want. They wanted Steve Austin, and I think they've destroyed him.
This is pestilence. Nothing but destruction from The Undertaker, who has challenged Stone Cold Steve Austin for a rematch for the WWF title.
Look at that evil smile, JR.
Oh, Austin's hurt badly. The Rattlesnake is down.
Stay there.
All right, so Austin comes out there. He talks about all that he's hearing in the back from last week, talking about Triple H being on commentary, saying that Triple H is going to handle him at SummerSlam. And Austin says, that's basically, that's just not going to happen. Says, that's the biggest bunch of bullshit I've ever heard in my life. You can't, says you can sit there in your little house and study all the little films you want and act like you know me like the back of your hand. Son, I tell you this, you can show up at SummerSlam with a PhD on Stone Cold in your pocket. You can be the smartest son of a bitch there is, but the bottom line is I'm going to whoop your ass, and that's all I got to say about that. I like that. He comes out right away because that was a big point that Triple H said, oh, I'm the game. I'm not just a student of the game. I am the game. I've been watching you. Like, I know you like the back of my hand. And Austin has to retort right away with, you don't know shit. You can watch me all you want. You don't know what I'm going to do. You don't know
that's why he's the rattlesnake.
Right. I was just going to say that.
They're unpredictable.
Right. You don't know when a rattlesnake's going to strike. You can be lulled away. They can tease you. And then they'll go right after you. And then from there, we get the Undertaker's entrance. And he has a new theme. Undertaker has a new entrance theme because now he's with the Big Show. And we got the Unholy Alliance at this point, and he comes out with Paul Bearer too. I don't know why he had to change his music with the Big Show. But whatever. They changed the music. They kind of suck.
Yeah, it's terrible.
Yeah.
It sucks.
Yeah, it sucks compared to what they have. So, Taker comes out. He says, we all know that you can talk, but are you going to find out if you can walk the walk? And watching these shows, they do a lot of recaps. Like, oh, before the commercial break, there was this. And they do it like throughout the episode, as you know. But they kept playing that. And I was so annoyed by it. We all know you can talk the talk. But we can find out if you walk the walk. It's like, oh, shut up, Undertaker. Like, it was bad enough the first time. Now I hear it like 4 times.
It was like last week. I want to eat. I want to drink your blood.
Yeah. And then the Undertaker goes on and says, I want a return title shot that I most duly deserve. Like,
Idiot.
Return title shot. Do you want a rematch? Just say a rematch. I want a rematch for the title. I duly deserve. So anyway, says he wants that title match. We're gonna do, what you say. I'm gonna stomp a mud hole in your ass. That was the other thing that was annoying too. It sounds so corny saying that. We're gonna, how you say it? What you say? Oh, stomp a mud hole in your ass. That's what we're gonna do. So anyway, at that point, that's what they do. Taker and Big Show stomp a mud hole in Austin's ass. And they leave him in the ring, and Austin's ribs are all just injured, apparently. That's how they're going to sell the story. So, moments later, like 7 minutes later or so, at 1 hour and 12 minutes, we usually would have audio for an Austin segment, but the audio was so shitty that we're leaving it out.
Yeah, it was bad. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah, it cuts out a lot of what he's saying.
Right. You can barely hear what he says, so I was like, yeah, screw it. We're not going to play this. Well, Austin basically says to Michael Cole, who's interviewing me in the back, that he's going to open up a can of whoop ass on the Undertaker and the Big Show. You can tell that Austin is pissed because he knows the audio sucks. So he's kind of like, fuck this promo, I'm done. You can tell he's agitated by it. So Austin accepts the title match with the Undertaker. Triple H enters the building moments later, and he finds out that there's a match, and he's pissed off, and he's going to start kicking shit around the building. And the reason why he's pissed is because he's the number one contender, so he doesn't want Undertaker to get a title shot before him. And then if Undertaker wins, then he has to go up against Undertaker. So he just doesn't like the whole idea that I'm the number one contender. Why is anybody else the number one contender? I'm the game. I'm the new guy. Fucking Undertaker gets another shot. Bullshit. That's what he's thinking. And then just a little side note here within, because it happens right after this. We get a WWF.com commercial. I don't know if you watched it, JV. Did you see this?
No, I didn't catch this.
No, it was just a stupid commercial, but I'll bring it up. It's a guy in a doctor's office, and the doctor comes in and is going to stick a probe up his ass. He's getting his prostate checked. And the commercial's for WWF.com, like I said. And the idea behind it is that we're probing everything that's behind the scenes on WWF.com. So the way that they wanted to promote it was by having a prostate exam. So,
Jeez.
1999. Attitude Era. So then we go on now to this championship match. It's a rematch. It's the return match, as The Undertaker says. Stone Cold Steve Austin versus The Undertaker for the WWF Championship in a no-hold-barred match. And it's going to go from basically no time. There's 5 minutes remaining on the show at this point. It starts at 1 hour and 28 minutes, and it's going to go to 1 hour 32 minutes. So there's fucking no time for this match. And through the years of watching Raw, I noticed that all the time. It's like, all right, I'm waiting for this main event. Then I look at the clock. Ah, shit, there's only 5 minutes for this. What the hell's going to happen? It's going to be bullshit. So that's what we have here. Triple H runs into the ring before Austin even gets there. So Austin's music hits, and all of a sudden Triple H is in the ring. I watched it like twice. I don't even know how he got in there. It's like
Just shows up.
He just cuts in from somewhere and jumps in the ring.
Surprise, motherfucker.
He says this match isn't going to happen. And my thought initially was, yeah, no shit, it's not going to happen. There's no time for this damn match. It's a WWF Championship match, and it's kicking off with only 5 minutes left on TV time. So anyway, Triple H is the star here, apparently. So let's listen to what Triple H has to say to prevent this match from starting.
Wait a minute. What the hell's this?
This ain't happening. Shut the hell up. Shut up. This ain't happening, Deadman. In case you haven't been paying attention around here, I'm the number one contender. That means if you want him, you gotta go through me. This is my time, and you're on it. Now somebody's gonna kick his ass and take his belt, but it's not gonna be you, it's gonna be me. I'm gonna kick this son of a bitch's ass. So either take it.
Oh, well, look at this. There's Austin. Austin going right after Helmsley. Austin and Helmsley, and now the Undertaker, and the Undertaker and Austin. It's Helmsley and the Big Show, King. My God, this is chaos.
All right, so Triple H gets in that ring right away. He says, this ain't happening. Shut the hell up. Shut up. I'm the number one contender. That means you have to go through me. It's my time. Somebody's going to kick his ass and take his belt, but it's not going to be you. It's going to be me. I'm going to kick that son of a bitch's ass. So then Austin's like, yeah, bullshit. Austin runs into the ring right away. He attacks Triple H. Then Austin and The Undertaker go at it. And then you just get fucking everybody in the whole company running in. You got Big Show running in. And Big Show and Triple H go at it. The Acolytes run in. And Kane comes in, goes after the Big Show. Road Dogg comes in, goes after Triple H. Hardcore Holly comes in, goes after the Acolytes. Billy Gunn goes for Austin. And even The Rock comes in, goes after Billy Gunn. What the fuck? So, obviously, we knew we're not going to have a title match, but then we just basically get what looks to be a fucking Royal Rumble going on in this match.
A few months early.
Yeah. So, Triple H hits Road Dogg with a pedigree. Austin hits Billy Gunn with the stunner. And that's how the show ends. So, they almost wanted to, like, make people forget that, oh, this is supposed to be a title match. You know what the best way to make people forget there's a title match? Put all the wrestlers in the ring. Then they'll just be so confused that they forgot what they were supposed to be watching. That's almost the logic that they had here. So that's what happens there. And it leads us now to Raw 324 from August 9th, 1999, which is a live episode from Chicago, Illinois.
Raw.
This is a huge Raw, right? Always in Chicago, you get these big Raws. You got Jesse the Body Ventura showing up here to make his appearance prior to SummerSlam. And yeah, it's a good Raw overall, I think. So let's go through this. There's not a whole lot of audio for this, so let's run through this real quickly. Do want to point out, because this is the Stone Cold podcast that we're having here, and StoneCold.com is announced. There's a little commercial for it, which is pretty cool. And I did go to StoneCold.com after I saw that, and it still leads to WWE.com Stone Cold page with clips of his matches
Really?
and stuff. Yep.
They still own it?
Yep.
That's funny.
Yep. All right, so we're going to start first with Jesse the Body Ventura's promo. We're not going to play it because it kind of goes on and shit. But it's important for us to bring up because he is going to be the special guest referee in the match at SummerSlam. So Jesse's going to start to talk about how he was a special ref at the first SummerSlam, which was just 11 years before this. So there's a good connection there. He was the special ref during the Mega Powers match against Zeus and Ted DiBiase. I believe that's what it was.
That sounds right.
I think I'm right. But anyway, Jesse Ventura was the ref there at the first SummerSlam. And he brings up how he's the only professional wrestler to legitimately say he was a Navy SEAL. So he's kind of going on like a little rant here.
Yeah, he's definitely a guy that likes to. I've heard him in like other stuff.
Yeah, he's like a conspiracy theory guy, and
he likes to talk about himself.
Right.
He's a great guy though, and he's interesting to listen to.
He is, but he definitely has some people that he doesn't like in the business, and
Vince.
he wants Vince and Hulk Hogan.
Yep, he hates them both.
Yep.
It's from what I understand, he wanted to start a union.
Yes.
And like Hogan blackballed it, basically went behind his back and the rest of the boys' back, and like ratted him out to Vince or some shit.
Right, because Hogan was safe. He didn't need to be in a union because he had the support of the owner.
Yeah.
So he knew he was going to get his money, but he wanted to fuck everybody else just to stay on the good side of Vince. You know, which happens in business and all workplaces. So yeah. That's what's happening there. So Jesse goes on to talk about Hulk Hogan, basically saying that you have people pretending to be Navy SEALs on TV shows and made-for-TV movies, and they have Bozo the Clown haircuts, which is ironic because Jesse Ventura has the same fucking Bozo the Clown style haircut. He has the fucking bald spot with the hair all over the sides, and if you look him up
here, he doesn't have any hair.
Well, you're right. Here he doesn't have any hair, but
all right, yeah,
generally,
okay.
like prior in his time in WWF, he had hair on the sides but bald on top.
Yes.
Yep. And then when you see him today, if you look him up, his hair's totally Bozo the Clownish. Like gray and just like all frizzy sticking out to the sides and bald on top. It's like he gave himself up after he was governor. Like, I'm going into this whole conspiracy theory form.
And he was wearing like a boa, right?
Well, back in the day, he used to wear the boa. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think his whole thing with Hogan is that he thinks he could have been Hulk Hogan.
Yeah.
Because he was basically that, but he got injured in 84.
Yep.
And he just missed the time. And he probably thinks in his mind, like, if I was healthy, I would have been in that spot. They wouldn't have needed Hulk Hogan from AWA because I came from AWA and I was that Hulk Hogan character there. So I would have done that.
It's hard to argue that against it. I mean, he did have everything Hogan could do, he could do.
Right, and he even became a movie star before Hogan did too.
Yeah, arguably better.
Right.
I
know, so I can see where his gripe is. He was a star. But
yeah, but don't be a bitter bitch.
I know,
about it.
That's the way he is. And that's the way some people are. Fuck. Anyway, we'll never know. But anyway, he's back here. Cutting a promo.
That's right. We will never know.
He's shitting on Hulk Hogan here because he has the opportunity to. So, might as well. And he says he's the real deal. And Jesse says he's the only person that's going to be able to uphold the law. And he'll be able to keep law and order intact in this Austin versus Triple H match at SummerSlam. He mentions that the scumbag, Vince McMahon, is nowhere to be found, and that's how good of a law and order man he is because he was able to keep Vince McMahon out. Which is surprising at this point now, 2 weeks after Vince's farewell, he hasn't been on TV. So that's pretty good.
Yep.
He'll be back within a month and a half, I'm sure, but at least he's not coming back right away. Triple H is going to come back out to the ring here, or come out to the ring rather, at 23 minutes into the show. And Jesse's going to tell Triple H to work on his wrestling moves because the best wrestler is going to win at SummerSlam. And it's my way or the highway. And my initial thought right away was with all this wrestling talk, is this was another way of Jesse sticking it to Vince McMahon with his sports entertainment lingo. Yeah. I'm in charge. It's going to be the best wrestler. We all know this wrestling doesn't matter in 1999. it's all about the story. But that probably had to be a thing that he said, fuck it, I'm going to say it. It's wrestling. And the best wrestler is going to be the champion.
Yeah. Well, they definitely, yeah, I get it. Yeah. He's a throwback guy.
Right.
And he still looks at them as wrestling. And there was this transition during this time where everyone wanted to be
entertainer.
They're not wrestlers, they're sports entertainers.
Right. So Triple H says that Ventura is stuck in the past, which you just alluded to, JV. And he's talking about being the former this, the former that. I used to be this, I used to be the champion, I used to be a wrestler, I used to be a Navy SEAL. And the fans start chanting asshole Triple H. And Jesse Ventura smoothly slides in. I think they're talking to you. So Triple H says, this is not Minnesota. This is not my world. This is my world. This is my ring. And then Ventura tells him, I was with the president today, which was legit. I looked back at the news for that day, and he did meet President Clinton at a governor's convention that day. And he was in the newspaper with him.
Yeah, I mean, totally believable.
Yep. And it did happen. And Triple H says, I don't care about that. If I want, I'll kick your ass. Then HBK comes out as the commissioner. HBK takes the mic from Triple H. And he says, I don't have to follow the standards and practices like Jesse has to. I'm not the governor, so I can do what I want. So HBK says to Triple H, to get that glare out of his stare, he's going to knock it off. Triple H pushes HBK. Ventura steps between the two of them. So now we get this situation where, HBK and Triple H are at odds with each other. Which is good because, next week's episode we'll talk about what happens there. But we're seeing a little rift between them. We know they've had their issues. But they're highlighting it here with Jesse Ventura in the ring. So we're going to set up a match. HBK is going to set up a match, and he's going to say Triple H will face Undertaker and Stone Cold later tonight. Bullshit. Not going to happen. But that's what they set up. And we go to a commercial break after that. So you get this match set up. Undertaker and Stone Cold with Triple H. Triple threat match. Not going to happen. So we go to the commercial break, And they quickly show a promo for SmackDown that's going to debut on August 26th, just after SummerSlam. And then we come back from the break there, and it's Austin backstage, and Austin is knocked out. So at 37 minutes into the show, Austin is knocked out. He's at the bottom of a stairwell. There's a broken cinder block next to him, and the officials are with him. And HBK says, says to somebody on the side of him, what do you do? Trip on a cinder block and bash his head, you dumbass? So he's pointing out, like, obviously this was Triple H that did this.
Yes, yeah, I noticed that. He's like bitching out.
Yeah.
He's like sarcastically saying that to someone there.
Right. Like, dude, Triple H did this. So that's what he believes right from the start. Triple H comes out to the ambulance as Austin's being put in the ambulance. What happened? What happened? And HBK's like, you know what happened. You know what the hell happened. Whatever. Knowing what I know that happens, I wonder what really happened storyline-wise. But they probably didn't think even that much ahead when writing this. All right, so HBK comes out at 39 minutes, and he's going to cut a little promo. And essentially, what it comes down to is that he's going to set up a match. Austin is not available in the match. Triple H is basically saying, well, we can't have this match anymore because Austin's not here. So Michaels is going to set up a match. Instead of Austin, China is going to be in the match. And it's now going to be a number one contenders match. It's going to be China, Undertaker, Triple H to end the show. Number one contenders match. No rules. False count anywhere. The winner gets the match at SummerSlam. So here we go. The main event. Jesse Ventura comes out and does special commentary. And when he started talking on commentary, it was just so familiar. It's like, that's wrestling.
He's one of the greatest.
So good. His voice is just perfect. And he just fell right back into it. Like anybody would with a job that they've had for so long. Just boom, right back into it. And it was so great to hear him there. Especially working with Jim Ross because they had the times where they worked together in WCW in the early 90s. And in him working with Jerry Lawler, he seemed to be having fun because they knew each other in the Southern Territory that he may have worked at. I think he worked in Memphis for a little while. At least he mentioned that. And they just seemed to be getting along, and it was just cool to hear him again on commentary. Now, I go back and I watch early 90s stuff, 80s stuff all the time. But then to hear him in this era, since we've been following along with him for the past 3 years, basically, we've been watching every episode. To hear him speak during this time is like, wow, that's cool. So, I don't remember at the time what I thought. I don't even know if I watched it at the time, but I probably would have been just as in awe of it again. But Jesse Ventura is there on commentary. And HBK is a special guest referee. He's wearing his little shorts again. I don't know what it is with him with wearing his little fucking shorts every time he's a referee. I don't know if he's trying to show off his nutsack or something. Like, what's the deal, HBK?
I think he's just like trying to you guys want to make me ref? I'm going to fucking dress up like an idiot.
Yeah, maybe.
Basically.
It's like, I don't want to do this shit.
Yeah.
So anyways, the number one contenders match, and we're going to have more to come. It's really been number one contender match after number one contender match. We had one at Fully Loaded with The Rock and Triple H. Now we're getting another one here. Then on next week's episode, there's going to be 3 number one contenders match on one episode of Raw on a go-home show to SummerSlam. It's fucking ridiculous. 3 in one night next week. And it's going to go back and forth. One person's going to have it, they're going to lose it. Another person's going to get it, and then another person's going to get it back. We'll bitch about it next week. But anyway, you have all the entrances.
And we bitch about it in 2019.
So you get all the entrances for all these people, which is ridiculous because Triple H and China could come out together. They have the same music. They play the same music both times. And then the Undertaker comes out and obviously it takes a long time. So 7 minutes are left by the time everybody comes out. Undertaker's going to get in the ring with China there. he takes Chyna's face and just slams her down to the mat, which I thought was really cool. And then Ventura, like I said before, he's going to talk about wrestlers, which is cool with me. But Ventura makes it a point to constantly say, wrestler, the best wrestler in the WWF is going to be the champion. And as I said, he must fucking be just shitting on Vince McMahon. Vince McMahon's probably in his ear in the back, like, hey, shut the fuck up about that. And he's like, yeah, fuck you.
Shut up. Yeah, exactly.
Go fuck yourself, Vince.
You're not the boss of me.
I'm the fucking governor. And he's not even taking the money that he's getting paid because it's all going to charity. So he probably didn't give a shit. It's like, no, you're donating all the money because I.
Yeah, because then Vince looks like an asshole if he decides not to donate the money.
Exactly.
Well done. He had Vince by the balls.
Yep, sure did. So Chyna gives the low blow, of course, and it's just constant. So Chyna low blows the Undertaker while attempting to chokeslam Triple H, so she saves Triple H there. Ventura mentions that Chyna won't be a factor in the match at SummerSlam, but she could be because she's in the number one contenders match right now. She could win the match. But Ventura says Chyna won't be a factor in this match. And then Jerry Lawler does a good job saving it by saying, she could be because she could end up being the number one contender after this match. And then Ventura says, oh yeah, I forgot about that. Which is like, yeah, I can't fault the guy. It's one night on the job. So he's going to make a mistake there. So Chyna low blows Triple H then. And Undertaker grabs Chyna and choke slams her down to the mat. Triple H knees Taker. Goes for the cover on Chyna, but Taker pulls Triple H off of Chyna. Triple H and Taker both punch back and forth. Ventura is going to tell Lawler, we've gone back a few years. Did you ever think we'd be watching this? Which I thought was perfect because it goes along with Jesse Ventura's thoughts on wrestling. And what we just saw was Triple H and Undertaker punching back and forth, but Taker pulling Triple H off of covering Chyna.
Yeah.
And Ventura's like, do you ever think we were going to see this?
Not how he remembered it.
No. And Jerry Lawler says, no, I didn't. And Vince probably had to be pissed with that too. That they're trying to push this girl. And he's like, did you ever think we were going to see this? All right, so at 1 hour, 37 minutes in, Austin is back. He came back from the ambulance that took him away because of his busted ribs. But apparently, the ambulance returned him, which I didn't know ambulances did. I thought they just left you at the hospital and somebody got to pick you up. But...
Yeah, I didn't know they were fucking Ubers too.
Right. And as Austin comes in, he just tosses the dude off his chair and takes the chair with him. And back in the ring, you got Undertaker clothesline Chyna and Triple H out of the ring. Austin is about to come out. Taker's going to go for HBK. Taker gets out of the ring to stomp Triple H. Then Austin is now coming down the ramp at that point with the steel chair. Austin's going to whack Triple H with the steel chair. He's going to give him the birds. Austin puts Chyna on Triple H. So now Chyna is going to make the cover. HBK, as the ref, makes the 3 count. Chyna becomes the number one contender for the WWF Championship at SummerSlam. What the hell? Imagine.
I was probably very salty when this happened.
I would have been. I know I would have been.
Like, what the fuck is going on? Because I think it was at that point where I kind of wasn't. No, I was still 99. I was still watching strongly. Yeah. No.
At this point, 99 was.
But I probably got that question in my head, like, what's going on here?
Yeah, my junior year, I was definitely still watching.
Like, are they really gonna fucking make him lose to Chyna?
Just like the whole changes all the time. Like, Triple H just got this shot. Now Chyna takes it away from him. But there's still a week to go. A lot can change. And as I said, a lot will change because we're going to have 3 number one contenders matches next week. Might as well have had a fucking tournament. But anyway.
Yeah, seriously.
That's what's going to happen. Austin basically just wanted to screw Triple H out of the opportunity. He's like, now Chyna has it. You motherfucker. Too bad. So I do like that, but I don't like the whole Chyna getting it. But I guess in the back of my mind, But looking at it now, it's like, yeah, they weren't going to let China have the spot. They just wanted to add to the story.
They needed a build story.
Yeah, make it hard for Triple H to get that title shot. And that's really the story, is that Triple H has been trying to get this title shot for so long because he's been put down because of the incident with the curtain call. He's been screwed by management, keeping him down on the mid-card. And now he's saying, screw you, I'm taking these shots. And he still loses it here to China. So I guess it works with the storyline. But yeah, definitely would have been pissed at the time. As I think I was, because I vaguely remember this and thinking, what? That makes no sense. But now looking back, it kind of makes sense for the story. So cool little twist there. Undertaker's pissed, of course, because this was another chance for him to get a title shot, and he missed out. So Undertaker is going to go on a new direction at this point that we'll talk about next week, where he becomes like a mentor to the Big Show at this point. He's going to try to teach the Big Show to be mean. And then Austin and Taker stare each other down as the show ends. Austin walks up the ramp as China is now the #1 contender. And we'll see what happens next week on the Go Home show, leading to SummerSlam. And then we'll also cover SummerSlam next week. And that's all we got for this week on the Austin portion of the show. But we'll be back in just a moment with the Attitude Era update. So take a listen to Talking Taker. And we'll be right back.
Deadman walking.
Oh, hell yeah. What's up, Stone Cold fans? This is Alex Dorio, one of the hosts of Talking Taker. And along with my co-host and fellow creature of the night, Travis White, we are digging up the career of the Deadman, one pay-per-view match at a time, on a podcast journey that's a lot like what you're listening to right now on the Bottom Line Wrestling Cast. So if you're enjoying what Mike and JV are doing here, going through the career of Stone Cold Steve Austin, come check us out as we explore the Undertaker's 3 decades of destruction. We're right in the midst of the Biker Taker era right now, so you can jump right in or start over from the beginning and hear us discuss the Undertaker's side of the story, from his many battles with the Rattlesnake, The Rock, Mankind, and more. We're available on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, YouTube, Spotify, and more. And you can also follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Talking Taker. Thanks to Mike and JV for letting us plug the show, and take her easy. What? I said, take her easy.
All right, and we're back now with the Attitude Era update. So let's get started first with what's going on with The Rock.
Oh, big things going on for The Rock.
Yeah, a lot of good stuff with The Rock. Huge thing happening with The Rock, actually, which we'll get to in just a moment. So with The Rock, we'll start with Raw 322 from July 26, 1999. You get The Rock calling Triple H a one-trick pony, and he says that China is the one trick. Boom, boom. And then The Rock from there, he directs his attention to his makeshift rival at this point, Billy Gunn. So where Austin had the cachet to say, fuck, I'm not dealing with Billy Gunn, The Rock wasn't quite there yet. Or at least he didn't want to try to use his ability to say, nah, fuck that shit. But Austin did, as we talked about earlier in the Austin segment of the show. So Rock is dealing with Billy Gunn, and he tells China that she is suffering the Rock fever. He's going to tell China to get down on her knees, pucker her lips. Then he tells her, don't get too excited. I'm going to kick your teeth so far down your throat that you're going to have to stick a toothbrush up your ass to brush your teeth.
I thought this whole promo was amazing.
It was great. It was a great promo.
It was one of his better ones.
Yeah.
It was so good.
So
and like his facial expressions, and
it was hilarious.
Yeah, and this is the one he has with Michael Cole. So he's like puts the T-shirts on Michael Cole. Is this the same one?
Yeah, this is the one where he has all his merchandise and just tosses it all over Michael Cole's face.
And like makes him stand there off camera, and then he goes back to camera. He still has it on, and he's like, he says something to him like, "What's in your hand?" And he looks at his hand, and then he like pushes Michael Cole's hand into his own face.
Yeah,
so it's like a punk move,
a bully move. Yeah,
yeah, it's awesome.
That brings us to the next thing. On the next week on Raw, he's even more bullyish as a babyface on Raw 323 from August 2nd, 1999. The Rock comes out there. There's a fan that wants to shake his hand backstage, and he scares the fan. He acts like he's going to shake his hand, and then he acts like he's going to punch him. Then there's a guy that helps him with his bag. So the guy's carrying the Rock's bag, and the guy's looking for a tip. So the Rock says, "Oh, you want a tip?" He says, "Wear a condom." And then he takes out a wad of money, like a huge wad of money too. And then he just rattles off like $500, or what looks to be $500. And then he pushes the guy on the ground and calls him a piece of trash. What kind of babyface we got here in 1999? Totally different than the John Cena time of being a babyface, or a Hulk Hogan. It's so funny. We got the bookends there. You got Hulk Hogan, say your prayers, eat your vitamins. John Cena, never give up, and then you have The Rock. Here's $500, you piece of trash. Go use a condom. That's your tip.
Such a dick.
So, yeah, that time and place. That's when it was. So then from there, though, right after that, they show The Rock throwing out the first pitch at a Pirates game. So he's doing all his WWF type of things, getting around, spreading the word about the product. But he's throwing out the first pitch, and I didn't know he was a lefty.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so I'm throwing as a lefty there. And then from there, you go on to another promo later in the match, later in the night, rather, and it's Billy Gunn and Chyna cutting a promo, but The Rock is going to come down and interrupt. And Chyna's in the ring, and since last week we talked about Droz' silly-ass hat in the Attitude Era segment, I think Chyna deserves to take off that silly-ass hat award for this week.
Yeah.
She's all
the
of a
winner
sudden
for
wearing,
this week.
Yeah, she's all of a sudden wearing some leather hat that looks like the Undertaker may have worn in one of his more recent years. So from there now we go Billy Gunn. He wants to talk about ass, and he wants to talk about the people's ass, which is The Rock. So Billy Gunn's got his spot here to try to put himself over with the top guy, and I don't think it's working that well. They're going to have a match at SummerSlam. Billy Gunn shows The Rock's ass on the Titantron, but it's not really The Rock's ass. It's some big, nasty ass that they show walking down the street, and my first thought was, it's a cottage cheese ass. And Jerry Lawler confirmed that, because that's exactly what he said. He said, that looks like cottage cheese. So that's kind of the gist of what happened there. The Rock interrupts. He says he's come back to Columbus. And, The Rock does this thing. He says, if The Rock hits you, it'll kill you. But if I miss, the wind from the punch will give you pneumonia. And then you'll die anyway. So the choice is yours. So another one. He's on fire on this episode. He's basically on fire from this point for the rest of his life.
Yeah, forever.
We're at this point. Yeah.
Forever.
And even in this next one, which is the following week on Raw 324, he's going to start off with a promo. He's going to cut on the Big Show. He's going to talk about how the Big Show and the Undertaker, because they got involved with him a little bit in the last week. And The Rock mentions how the Undertaker is already booked for a match, so tonight the Big Show is going to have to settle for The Rock. And he says, if you have any fortitude in these tiny little things that you call balls, then tonight you'll come out here and go one-on-one with the Great One. But The Rock is going to be interrupted this time. We got the Millennium Countdown that goes off. And get one of the greatest moments in WWF history. It's undeniably one of the greatest moments in WWF history.
Yep, absolutely. I think the best debut in WWE history, too.
It has to be.
The most memorable, at least for me.
I would say, too. Especially for the era that we watched wrestling in as wrestling fans. Not something that we watched back on a tape, but we were watching that era. And we watched this person come up and wanted him to be there. And all that. So, you know what it is. It's Y2J. It's Millennium Countdown. So, we usually don't do this on the Attitude Era segment, but this warrants it. This is worth it. And this is already my oh hell yeah moment for the week. I'm just going to put it out there. Sorry it's not an Austin thing. Too bad. This one outshines it. Here it is. Take a listen and enjoy.
Big Show's going to need a big king-size bed, isn't he? Wait a minute.
Hey, wait a minute.
That Millennium Clock.
It's the Millennium, JR. 10, 9,
The countdown.
6,
To the Millennium.
4. We're counting down.
It's
3,
here.
2.
We're counting it down.
What? What?
Welcome to Raw is Jericho! And I am the new millennium for the World Wrestling Federation. Now, for those of you who don't know me, I am Chris Jericho, your new hero, your party host, and most importantly, the most charismatic showman to ever enter your living rooms via a television screen. And for those of you who do know me, well, all hail the Ayatollah of rock and rolla!
Got a nice haircut, I can say that.
Now, when you think of the new millennium, you think of an event so gigantic that it changes the course of history. You think of a dawning of a new era. In this case, the dawning of a new era in the WWF.
The Rock is not impressed.
Thank you. Thank you.
Jericho's got a lot of
And a new
guts.
era is what this once proud and profitable company sorely needs. What was once a captivating, trend-setting program has now deteriorated into a cliched, let's be honest, boring snooze fest that is in dire need of a knight in shining armor.
Well, he's talking about you
And
now,
that's
JR.
why I'm here. Chris Jericho has come to save the WWF.
Oh, from what?
Well, you're going to get your pink slip.
Now let's go over the facts. Television ratings, downward spiral.
Who's he kidding?
Pay-per-view buy rates, plummeting. Mainstream acceptance, non-existent. and reactions of the live crowds, complete and utter silence. And I know why you're silent. You're silent because you're embarrassed to be here.
What?
And quite honestly, I'm embarrassed for you. And the reason why you're embarrassed is because of the steady stream of uninteresting, untalented, mediocre sports entertainers who you're forced to cheer for and care for. No wonder you're not cheering. You could care less about every single idiot in that dressing room. And especially this idiot in the center of the ring.
The Rock is going to explode, King, any minute.
You people have been led to believe that mediocrity is excellence. Jericho is excellence.
He's got a lot of guts to interrupt The Rock.
And now, for the first time in WWF history, you have a man who can entertain you. You have a man who is good enough for you. You have a man who can make you jump up off your chairs, raise your filthy fat little hands in the air, and scream, "Go, Jericho, go! Go, Jericho, go! Go, Jericho, go!" Thank you. The new millennium has arrived in the WWF. And now that the Y2J problem is here, this company, from the front office idiots to all the amateurs in the dressing room, including this one, to everybody watching tonight, will never, ever be the same again.
Y2J, did he say Y2J?
Yeah, I heard it.
Look, The Rock is dumbfounded.
He's an arrogant young man.
Uh-oh.
After 3 boring minutes, The Rock says, "Know your role and shut your mouth!"
I second that.
How dare you, little jabroni, come on The Rock show and not even have the class to introduce yourself? What is your name?
I told you.
It doesn't matter what your name is.
He got you.
Oh, boy.
The Rock says you talk about your Y2J plan. Well, The Rock has a little plan of his own, and it's called the KY Jelly Plan.
Oh, no.
Which,
You know what that is, JR?
Yeah.
You do? You don't use it to clean pipes, JR.
which means The Rock is gonna lube his size 13 boot real good, turn that sumbitch sideways, and stick it straight up. You get it in the air. If you smell what The Rock is cooking.
Well, The Rock gets the last word over Chris Jericho. That'll give Jericho something to think about for a few days, King.
He's doing more than thinking. He's percolating. He's cooking. He's hot.
All right, so that countdown comes out right in the middle of The Rock speaking, and you see the look on The Rock's face like, who the fuck is interrupting
Yeah, who the
me?
fuck has the nerve to interrupt The Rock?
Right, I'm on a roll right now. What is this? And then you see the countdown goes down, the crowd's counting. The crowd already knows. You see the signs everywhere. But for some reason, I think I was still kind of surprised.
Yeah, me too. I don't think I knew. And I had the internet and everything.
Right, yeah, 99. We were on the internet. I know I had AOL 4.0 in 1999. The purple
Yes,
one.
I started off with 3.0.
Yeah, 3.0 was like 97. 99, they ran out the new one. It was like a whole redone format.
Remember that? The
4.0.
feeling when a new AOL version would launch?
Yeah. That was a big jump, though.
How long it would take to update?
Oh, yeah. Jeez. But yeah, we had access to it, but I wasn't seeking out everything at the time. I was
seeking out like
me.
titties and shit.
Actually, probably not even that. I was probably like, I want to find Sable's titties because I want to see those.
Yeah.
But anyway,
walkthroughs for video games and all that kind of shit.
Yeah, Resident Evil walkthrough, Resident Evil 2 walkthrough.
Yep.
So anyway, you get the countdown, and then you get the little dramatic music for a moment, and then you get this music that nobody's heard before. And then on the Titantron, just Jericho across the screen, and the crowd fucking goes crazy. It's so loud. It gave me goosebumps watching it, literally. Like,
same here.
Just watched it the other day again. I said I watched it a week ago. When we did last week's episode, I watched it as a little clip on the network. But then I watched it as I was watching this episode to prepare for this week. And it just brought me back and I was like, oh, man, wow. What a moment that is. Just the whole clock. Rock's waiting in the ring. Crowd's waiting. Who the hell is this? And then Jericho across the Titantron. Everybody loses it. And then Welcome to Raw is Jericho, which is great because he had the whole Monday Night Jericho.
Yeah, yep.
On Nitro.
And he gives a good promo here about the state of the industry and
he does.
Yada, yada, yada. Like, it's fucking... I had to listen to it twice today because I listened to it once. And then I was like, oh, fuck, I forgot to rip the audio. So I'm like, oh, guess I got to listen to it again. Yep. So before we started recording, I would listen to it again. I was like, man, he's just like hitting it all.
He is hitting it all, but it rings true for today.
It does. It rings more true for today than it did in 99.
Right, in 99, and he's like totally wrong.
Yeah. But people were kind of worried in 99, no? Because WCW was fading, so now you only had like this one.
Yeah.
Like, weren't ratings going down? Like, when WWF won the ratings war, their ratings didn't like double or triple. Like, they peaked and then they kind of dipped.
They dipped.
So, like, when WCW went under, or was on the verge of going under, not only did, WC, like, I don't know, I just felt like there was like a mass exodus of interest in wrestling by a lot of like the casual viewers.
I think it's still pretty strong here. WCW is still holding on a little bit. They're only getting like 2 point somethings, I think, and WWE is probably getting like 4 to 5s. But this episode was one of the highest rated ones after that major one that we talked about just a few weeks back with the Undertaker and Steve Austin match. That was the biggest one. And this one is pretty huge too. I don't know if it was SummerSlam coming up, Jesse the Body Ventura, probably not him, but also people knew the countdown was coming, and most people knew that it was going to be Jericho. People, the smart fans online, and it was going to be Jericho, so they're tuning in for that. But what Jericho says, he says, I'm the new millennium for the World Wrestling Federation. I'm your new hero. I'm your party host, the most charismatic showman to appear via your television screen. All hail the Ayatollah of Rock-a-Rolla.
I love that line. Yeah, I love that.
And I like how I'm the new hero, too. Most charismatic showman. Because he was the guy from WCW that could fit with this Attitude Era. Of all the people that were there, he's the one that should be with WWF. Most people were former WWF guys.
Right.
Goldberg was, in my view at the time, he's just a WCW guy. He's not needed in WWF because he He's like old school WWF. Like, he would have been a star in WWF in the early 90s if he was there. They could have used him as a star back then. He just seemed like kind of a rip-off thing. Not a rip-off of Austin, but just the whole model of WWF. Like, Ultimate Warrior style kind of guy. But Jericho always stood out to me as being somebody that didn't belong in WCW. He belonged with WWF.
No, he belonged in WWF. I remember, excuse me, he was like a step of everyone else in WCW. Like, he's the guy that, like, his character and the things he were doing were things that WCW should have let him do, and then also encouraged from a creative perspective from other wrestlers. Mm-hmm. But they handcuffed themselves at WCW by not adapting to the times.
Right. They wanted to just keep with their NWO guys and guys that used to be stars. And somebody like him, who was proven to be a star from the fans' view, was not allowed to be. Which, again, speaks to today, where there's a lot of people that fans think should be stars that don't get the chance still.
Yep.
And there's nowhere for them to go other than somewhere less than WWE. So now they have to go to, like, AEW. And that's the good thing with that option. But Jericho was in WCW. He was in the lesser thing trying to help them. And he had to go to the top. He had to go to the big company. And even
they let go like a top prospect if this was like a real sports organization. Like, you did what?
Yeah. Right. They got rid of the top prospect to go to the rival company because they didn't know how to use him. But then when they get him, when WWF gets him, we're going to see that they're like,
Yeah. It's almost like they had buyer's remorse.
Right. Yeah, they have that, or it's almost like they want to just say, you're not from here, so you gotta wait.
Yeah, put your time in.
Yeah. So anyway, he cuts his great promo. He talks about, the buy rates are spiraling and all this shit, like I said, was not really WWF at the time because pay-per-view buy rates were pretty good. Ratings were pretty good. Mainstream appeal was higher than ever in 1999. Live crowds were not horrible, as Jericho says in this promo. They were probably the best that they've ever been. You got people selling out the places nonstop. You have the signs all over the arenas during this era. So it's almost like he's just trying to get heat, like saying that this place sucks.
Yeah, yep.
So there's that to it. And then my thought to it was like, no, he's not really. It's almost like he's talking about what's happened in WCW. Because
yeah, right.
Everything he said is what was happening to WCW.
That's probably a whole promo he had scripted and ready to go. WCW that he never got to use. Yeah. Probably like his first 20 promos in WWF. Probably all like shit he had in the can.
Yeah, making fun of WCW the whole time. But then by the end of it, you get some classic lines. You get the "You'll never, ever, ever be the same again," and that's great because he kept using that.
Yeah,
yes.
Yep. He still uses it today. Well, I don't know if he's using it in AEW, I forget, but
yeah, I don't think he is, but he used it all the way up to the end of his latest run in WWE.
Yeah, because it seems like he's trying to use a lot more like almost different, like newer stuff. Yeah,
which is great because he always reinvents himself.
Always.
Yep.
Like, who else has reinvented themselves like him?
Oh, he's awesome.
Yeah.
So the thing though about this is, The Rock is the star, so The Rock is going to take over the promo and almost kind of rain on the parade of Chris Jericho, which gets this great pop. Everybody loves it, but you got to remember who the star is here. So he says, know your role, you jabroni. Doesn't matter what your name is. He drops that line on Jericho, and you get all that. So Jericho looks kind of defeated by the end of the promo. But it's pretty cool because it sets up a potential feud, if they want to go with it, between one of the top stars and Chris Jericho. Even though they make him look like a little chicken shit heel in a way. Which is fine because that's what he is. He's obviously a lot smaller. You can see how small he is compared to other talent already. Just right away, just looking at him on the stage. You can see him with the high heels on. see him looking tiny. The Rock even mentions you're a little jabroni. So they're already pointing out the fact that he's smaller than most of the stars.
And in viewers' eyes, he's still a cruiserweight because that's kind of what he was.
Right.
So to have him come out and like go toe to toe with The Rock was kind of like a stretch.
Yep. Even the choice of putting his hair in that, I don't know what you would call it. It's not a ponytail.
I don't know what that is either.
Or whatever, you know what it is.
I call it the Ayatollah rock and roller because whenever I hear that, I think of his haircut too. Like that's the Jericho I think of.
But even that makes him look not serious and like a little kid, kind of. And that's kind of what he was going for, because by the end of the promo, he's puffing and huffing like he's a little kid that didn't get his way. I thought this was going to be my big debut, and The Rock shit all over it. So a lot of people complain that The Rock screwed him out of it, but that's the way it was written. Looking back
well, I mean,
at it.
I think that's what made it even better.
Yeah. Right, he had The Rock he was dealing with. The Rock is the star. He's going to shut it down.
I mean, he did a great job. His promo was awesome.
Yeah. Oh, it was great. And then later in the night, when The Rock has his match with the Big Show, Jericho's going to run out and cause The Rock to get... The Rock's going to win by DQ, but he screws The Rock out of hitting the people's elbow on the Big Show. So he does get his revenge at the end of that episode of Raw. So it's not like, oh, I shut you down in the promo and you didn't hear about me again. That's a lot of things. When I hear on different podcasts, people never bring up the fact that Jericho came back later in the night and attacked The Rock. In a pussy way, too. He didn't hit him. He just pushed him and ran away.
Yeah. Schoolyard shit.
Right. And that was pretty damn funny. So there was that. So that was a great moment there. To move on, though, we have the Big Show and the Undertaker. Like I said, they're lining up here, and they got the Unholy Alliance, and they're going to team up. They're going to go against Kane on Raw 322 on July 26th. And the match doesn't last long. Undertaker hits Kane with a chair shot. The ref's going to call for the bell. Kane wins by DQ. Well, then Taker and Big Show are going to start to kick the shit out of Kane. Road Dogg's going to run down, and he's going to end up getting his ass kicked. So they're basically showing that Taker and Big Show are this unstoppable duo at this point. And they're just going to roll over everybody. So later in that same night on Raw 322, Big Show and Undertaker say they're taking over. Undertaker calls the Big Red Machine nothing more than the Big Red Pussy. And he says, the days of scary music and scary entrances are over. And the days of Armageddon are upon us. Which is going to be the name of pay-per-view later in the year. Armageddon. So you get that. And then you have a situation where the Acolytes challenge Big Show and Undertaker on Raw 323. They are the champions, and they're challenging them. Hardcore Holly comes out as the spokesman for Big Show and Undertaker, and he's calling himself the Big Shot these days. And Holly says that he could take both of them on. I'll take both of these Acolytes on. So he goes in there, and he tells them, you know what, guys, it's time you either nut up or shut up. And Holly gets in the ring, gets his ass kicked by the Acolytes. And then the following week, or actually later in the show, Undertaker and Big Show go against Kane and Road Dogg. And we're going to have Hardcore Holly interfere in that match too. And nothing really comes of that match of note. The following week, on Raw 324, The Rock cuts a promo. And that's what's leading to the whole Jericho promo there. We'll move on from that. Raw 324. Also, Big Show and Undertaker attack Kane and X-Pac. And Kane and X-Pac win the tag team titles from the Acolytes. So, Big Show and Undertaker now want to set themselves up to go after Kane and X-Pac for the tag team championships, leading up to SummerSlam. Moving on now, you have Test and Stephanie continuing their drama with the Mean Street Posse. Steve Blackman and Ken Shamrock are also continuing their feud, and this stuff's kind of mixed in together. So let me just run through this quickly here. Steve Blackman, as we said earlier, hit Shamrock with his car on Raw 322 from July 26th. And later in that same episode, Test is going to attack Pete Gas. So basically what's going on with Test and the Mean Street Posse, each week throughout July into August, Test is going to kick the shit out of all the members of the Mean Street Posse. And he wants to challenge Shane McMahon. And he doesn't want Shane McMahon or his posse to get in the way of his potential relationship with Stephanie. So that's the bottom line with that, basically. Shane McMahon's going to cut a long-ass promo talking about fucking Disney and Bugs Bunny and Time Warner, talking about how his dad is basically the equivalent of Walt Disney. And in the wrestling world, I guess, as we said earlier, you can make that point. You could kind of say that. We have a WWE network, which is on the spectrum of a Disney Plus, I would say, in the minds of a wrestling fan, I would say. So Shane McMahon cuts that long ass promo. It's on Raw 323. It's 10 minutes long. I don't know how he went on for that long, but he did it. And it's just kissing his dad's ass because basically at this point his dad's off the show. So he wanted to point out all the good things that he did for wrestling fans around the world. And there would be no wrestling without him. There would be no Stone Cold Steve Austin. There'd be no Rock, no Undertaker. And he says, I dare say there would never even be any Ted Turner's WCW wrestling. Because Ted Turner probably wouldn't even be interested in wrestling if he didn't notice Vince McMahon taking over wrestling at that time, taking over wrestling on his network. So it's almost like Ted Turner's reaction to Vince was, all right, well, I'm not going to let him do that, so I'm going to compete against him. And that's what led to his own competition. So in essence, Vince created his own competition by doing what he did.
Yeah.
He created his enemies, and then he took them down.
It's like, geez, what a badass.
Man, we sound like...
I made you, I can break you.
We sound like Vince McMahon kiss asses on this show.
It's respect. If you don't respect what the guy's done, then I guess you're really just a fucking hater.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, who could have done it better?
Right.
Bigger and better. Really nobody.
Didn't have the ability to do it. Nobody else did.
Or the vision.
Right.
Or the balls. You know what I mean? The cutthroat attitude, the tough decisions that guy's made.
The balls the size of grapefruits.
Yeah, you got to piss a lot of people off to become a fucking billionaire. It's just the way it is.
Yeah, it's true. All right, so we move on to the IC title scene. Jeff Jarrett is the IC champion at this point, and he's going to go up against D'Lo Brown on Raw 323 in a title versus title match. It's IC title and the European title, which kind of makes the IC title mean shit, I think. Because the European title sucked. Not many people really won that title. I think out of like the 6 title changes that had happened at this point, 3 of them were just titles being handed over. Like Triple H never won it. He had it. Midian just got it from a gym locker, basically. Oh, I saw a belt in there. It's mine now.
Yeah. It's my belt now.
So you had all these different situations where the belt basically meaningless, and now it's being on the same level as the IC title. So Jeff Jarrett loses it to D'Lo Brown. D'Lo Brown becomes the IC champion and the European champion. During this time, Deborah and Jeff Jarrett are having issues with each other. He's trying to be overprotective of her puppies, and you got that all going on. Just prior to this match, though, the previous week, skipped over this for a second, but the previous week on Raw 322 from July 26th, Ben Stiller is going to be called into the ring by Jeff Jarrett. Ben Stiller is going to try to kiss Jeff Jarrett's ass a little bit by saying, he's the man, he's great, and all this. And then Jeff Jarrett's going to kick the shit out of Ben Stiller when he says that his favorite stars in the WWF are Deborah's puppies. Jarrett just kicks the shit out of him, puts the figure 4 on him, and D'Lo comes out to save Ben Stiller and does the low-down frog splash, and that's what leads to this title match where D'Lo Brown becomes the champion. So D'Lo's the champion leading into SummerSlam. Jeff Jarrett does get another attack on D'Lo Brown as D'Lo is training Mark Henry, who is losing a lot of weight, if you notice, over the past few weeks, over the past month. He's basically slimmed down a shit ton. And they're documenting his diet and his workouts here. And so they're jogging in the park, and Mark Henry says he has to go take a piss. So when he takes a piss, Jeff Jarrett shows up in a car and attacks D'Lo. And Deborah's all pissed and tells Jeff to get back in the car, and that's where we end there. Like I said, that's going to lead to their match at SummerSlam. On the tag team title scene, we're going to have another change happen, and it's going to be the Acolytes. The Acolytes are the new champions at this point. They're going to defend against Edge and Christian on Raw 322, July 26, 1999. They just won the titles at Fully Loaded. And just a week after that, on Raw 324, they're going to go up against Kane and X-Pac. As I mentioned just moments ago, Kane and X-Pac are going to win those tag team titles. And it's going to be their second time being champions together. And it's the fourth time that both of them have been the champions. So X-Pac or 1-2-3 Kid been the champions.
You mean separately?
Right, separately. 4 times separately, 2 times together. So 4 total, 2 together. X-Pac, off the top of my head, had the championships with Bob Holly, 1-2-3 Kid Bob Holly, 1-2-3 Kid and Marty Jannetty.
Really?
And
I remember Holly. I don't remember Jannetty. I think I remember Holly.
I believe it was Jannetty. And then twice with Kane. Kane had it twice with X-Pac. Twice with Mankind.
Huh.
So 4-time champs there. So they're the champs at that point. And
then he sided with Daniel Bryan. And
yeah, I want to. Probably been so many more. Well, when you get to this point, 99 going forward, so many singles wrestlers just tag with each other and win the belts.
Yeah.
We still got the Rock and Sock connection to come, where they're going to be tag team champions. So many big stars just team up.
Yeah, the Rock and Sock. Win
the tag titles for no reason, just what the hell. And that's what I hated about the tag team division at that time, because I was so used to growing up with tag teams. Just you're a team. You wear the same trunks. You have the same gimmick. You're not separate. You're just 2 fucking dudes.
I just looked it up. He's been a tag team champion. If you count both, if you count the WWE Tag Team Championship and then the WWF WWE / World Tag Team Championship, which I guess I'll count as one, he's an 11-time tag team champion.
Wow.
He won it 2 times. He won the WWE Tag Team Championship real quick 2 times. Once with the Big Show, one with Daniel Bryan. And then the World Tag Team Championship, he's won 9 times. Twice with Mankind, twice with X-Pac, twice with The Undertaker, once with the Hurricane, once with Rob Van Dam, and then another time with the Big Show.
Jesus.
Holy.
Wow. Can you quickly see what the record is for the most tag team titles? Are you on Wikipedia?
Yeah.
Just hit
history.
All right, I'll keep talking while you look at that.
Yeah, keep talking. I'll jump in. Yeah.
All right, so now we're on Edge and Gangrel. They have their feud on Raw 323, August 2nd, 1999. You get a bloodbath match between Edge and Gangrel. And Gangrel's been kind of screwing with Edge and Christian over the past month. And Christian was with Gangrel last week on Heat, or last night, obviously, on Heat, which we don't cover anymore because it's not on the network. But it looked unwillingly based on the footage they show. And Gangrel is going to win the match with a DDT. He grabs the bucket. The lights go out, though. He grabs the bucket of blood because that's what you have to do in the match, is drop a bucket of blood on each other. The lights go out. Gangrel is covered in blood. And Christian is standing over him. So Christian helped Edge get the win. So even though Gangrel hit the DDT, the blood ended up on Gangrel, so he loses. Christian and Edge embrace each other. And then the following week, Christian and Gangrel go up against each other. But the Hardy Boys have now came out and they've attacked Christian outside the ring. And the match goes on. Tim White doesn't give a DQ. He just lets the match go on. The Hardy Boys get into the ring. They interfere, and Michael Hayes runs out to try to stop the Hardy Boys. Then the Hardy Boys turn on Michael
Beat him
Hayes.
up.
Yep, they kick his ass. All right, so
Apparently they're members of the Brood now, right?
right, so they joined Gangrel. So Christian and Edge are out, and now Gangrel has the Hardy Boys as part of the Brood. So
And I think it's a good time now to give you the update on our findings here. It actually fits in well here.
all right,
So Edge holds the record for overall reigns as an individual with 12. 7 of those with Christian.
one with Hulk Hogan.
Yeah,
That's
one
the
with
one
Hogan.
that gives him the record.
Yeah, no, he's got 7. He's got 12 altogether. 7 with Christian. Then he's got one with Hogan, Benoit, Randy Orton, and Jericho.
Wow.
And then the team to hold it the most were the Dudley Boys. As a team, they've held it 8 times.
That seems right. Dudley Boys.
Yep.
Nice.
Yeah, it's kind of good. We were talking about the Edge and stuff there, so it worked.
And you mentioned Dudley Boys. The Dudley Boys are about to come in within the next couple of weeks.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yep. So things heating up here in 1999. And we got one last thing in the Attitude Era update before we get out of here, and that's the hardcore title scene. Basically, Big Boss Man is the champion, and he has an issue with Al Snow, and it's all about Pepper. Pepper the dog. And this is one of the shittiest storylines, one of the most controversial storylines. Even in an Attitude Era, it's controversial because they're kidnapping a dog, they're cooking a dog, possibly eating the dog, or lying about eating the dog. So yeah, that storyline's about to kick off here. And on Raw 324 in the non-title match, Big Boss Man is against the Road Dogg. And it's a typical hardcore match. Al Snow comes out with Pepper, distracts Big Boss Man, which is going to set Big Boss Man off, leading to a lot of the craziness that ensues with the storyline with Pepper the dog. And that's the Attitude Era update. And shit, I got randomly just a side here. I'm watching Impact, and there's this blonde chick who looks smoking in a weird way. Shaved head, big ass titties, wearing all pink. I don't know what her name is. But anyway, she's on Impact.
I don't know. Okay.
Sorry, it distracted me. But we're wrapping up here. So let's now go to the bottom line wrap up. We got the house show rundown from July 26th through August 9th. And Austin does not appear on any of these house shows. Like I said, he's injured. And I think he may have been doing some television episodes for Nash Bridges at this time. So that was part of what was going on during this summer. But now let's get to the oh hell yeah moment. And I already mentioned mine, and I think JV agrees with it.
Yeah, it's got to be.
It's Jericho, debut of Jericho. We even took the time to play the promo on an Austin show in an Attitude Era update segment, which we never play clips on. So it's got to go to the debut of Jericho.
And I just want to put this out there as an honorable mention because I didn't realize it happened on the same episode as Jericho, the same episode where I was Jericho debuting. And that's Kane speaking without the fucking help of the voice thing and saying "suck it" with X-Pac.
I thought, oh man, I was gonna put
So
that.
I have to throw that out there as an honorable mention.
I almost considered that for an oh hell no. Now I don't want to do it, but fuck.
Oh well, hey,
Hey.
you know, everyone's got their own opinion. My oh hell no is.
All right, what do you got?
Do I start,
Yeah,
or do you
go-
want to kick us
no,
off?
No, go ahead because now I
right.
might want to change mine. So, what do you got?
All right, my oh hell no is China winning the match.
Yeah, China winning the match. Yeah, that's a good one. Shit. Fuck, I don't want to Steal
I didn't like
yours.
it then. Don't like it now. And then all this talk about her kicking her and always going low blows and not just being a bad bitch because she's fucking huge. Even more so to hate her and hate that booking decision.
Yeah, that's pretty horrible. That's pretty oh hell no, I have to say. Shit. Let me go with that too. Oh hell no. China winning the #1 contendership for a main event at SummerSlam just a week before. Well, I guess it's less than 2 weeks before. But fucking Jesse Ventura, the referees on commentary. He even mentions on commentary that China's not going to be a factor in this main event. She wins the match. That's oh hell no.
Yeah, very hell no. That's another hell yeah would have been Jesse the Body Ventura. I mean, it was good.
It was a good episode.
Yeah.
It was a big episode. Like I said, it's one of the high-rated episodes of Raw. All right, and with that said, though, next week we move on to episode 55, and we'll cover the go-home show to SummerSlam, where we have all these #1 contendership matches, and the return of Mankind, who's, as we know, is going to end up in that main event. So we'll see how he ends up in that main event at SummerSlam. So we'll cover that next week. We'll cover SummerSlam, and then we'll also cover an interview from SmackDown, the debut of SmackDown with Stone Cold Steve Austin, because he's going to be taking some time off. So we're going to hear what he has to say before he takes some time off on that episode of SmackDown. So come back next week for episode 55. And before we get out of here, let's plug some of our podcast pals. You heard them during the break, and that was Talking Taker. You can follow them on Twitter at Talking Taker. And this week is episode 119. And Alex and Travis will be discussing the match, a Punjabi match, Punjabi death match, whatever the fuck it's called. But it's...
Yeah, Punjabi Prison, right?
Prison, yes. Punjabi Prison match.
I remember that.
And it's Undertaker versus Big Show. It's not even Great Khali. It's...
Oh, what? Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
I thought they only had those matches if the Khali was in them.
Right. Undertaker, they just covered Undertaker against Great Khali from like 2 months before. But now, I don't know what happened. I'm going to have to listen. You guys are going to have to listen. Why is Big Show in this Punjabi prison match with The Undertaker? And why is not Great Khali in that match? I mean, thankfully, Great Khali's not in that match. But I know, thinking back, though, to what I thought in 2006, I didn't want to see the Big Show. I didn't want to see Great Khali. And I didn't want to see The Undertaker either. So I was kind of not okay with any of them back in 2006. But it's probably good to listen to what they have to say, because they're probably pretty entertaining. And that all happened at the Great American Bash of July of 2006, if you want to go watch it on the WWE Network. Now let's move on to the Book in the Territory, the Unprofessional Wrestling Podcast, with Mike Mills and his boys, Doc Turner and Hardbody Harper. And they are covering this week, tomorrow, Thursday, on their NWA WCW Saturday Night episode. They'll be covering July 23rd of 1988. And then this Sunday, on their Smoky Mountain Wrestling recap show, they'll be covering episode 170 from April 29th, 1995. Also, be sure to check out our friend Jay Free on his podcast of all pop culture, up-to-date pop culture on Free or Geek. And his most recent episode is called A Little Stream of Me. And that's episode 83. I think Jay Free at this point is doing like bi-weekly episodes. But that's what he currently has up there, talking about all the new streaming options out there and what is available to watch on there. And also, don't forget, JV and I do the Extreme ECW Livecast, and tonight, we are dropping episode 12, where we cover and we watch along with ECW Hardcore TV, episodes 25 and 26, from September 28th and October 5th of 1993. That's available on the Book in the Territory Patreon feed. So go to patreon.com, Book in the Territory, sign up for the $5 tier, give it a shot. Give it a shot for at least a month, and you'll have access to all our episodes, 12 episodes plus 2 watch-alongs. And if you like it, keep subscribing, keep following along with us. Book in the Territory has a lot of good episodes on there. Old school wrestling, so check it out. Some fun stuff there. And now, if you want to follow us, just help us out on Twitter. We're at Bottom Line Cast. JV's at John Van Damage. I'm at MPRU83. If you want to help us out on iTunes, which is greatly appreciated, give us a 5-star review and leave a little message for us. Tell us what you like about it. Don't tell us what you don't like about it, but just tell us what you like about it. If you want to tell us what you don't like, that's what Twitter's for. And then subscribe to our new YouTube page, Bottom Line Wrestling Cast. We currently have 7 subscribers. So be number 8, be number 9, be number 10. So
this is your chance to be in a single digit
right.
OG subscriber to our channel. Yeah.
So that's out there now. If you'd rather listen to us on YouTube, we're going to be available. All the episodes are going to drop there every Wednesday, just as they would do on any of the podcast platforms. So that's an option for you. Now we're going to head out of here. As Steve Austin likes to say, we're going to roll out into the sunset. We're going to hit that go home cue. And we're out of here. JV, any final words?
No, sir.
All right, so we'll be back next week with episode 55. That's all we got to say about that. Forrest Gump will take us out, and then you got to listen to some Triple H. So long.
And that's all I have to say about that.
1, 2, is this on? Yo, Jimmy, hit me with that Triple H.